Have you ever sat alone in your room late at night and felt an emptiness within you? Not sadness, not exactly pain, but a quiet, heavy feeling that something is missing. You look around your life, friends, family, social media, goals, and yet deep inside you whisper to yourself, "Why do I still feel lost? What is wrong with me?" Let me tell you, nothing is wrong with you. This feeling of being lost is not a curse, not a failure. It is a signal, a message from your inner self that life is pulling you away from who you truly are. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, people are not disturbed by things, but by their judgment about things. And perhaps your feeling of being lost is not because life is unfair, but because your perspective has drifted away from truth. Why do we feel lost? The Stoic lens. The Stoics believed that human beings are created for purpose. Not a grand, dramatic destiny, but a simple one. To live with wisdom, courage, discipline, and justice. To align our inner world with reality, not illusions. To control what we can and accept what we cannot. So why do so many of us feel directionless today? Because modern life has given us everything: comfort, entertainment, distractions, except one thing: ourselves. We know how others live, but we don't know how to live with ourselves. We know what the world expects from us, but we don't know what our own soul expects. Seneca once wrote, "Everywhere is nowhere when you are drifting with no purpose." And that is the first truth. You feel lost not because you are weak, but because you are drifting. You wake up, scroll your phone, compare your life, chase approval, and sleep with a mind full of noise, day after day. And slowly you lose the connection to your own being. Internal versus external life. The Stoics divided life into two realms. Internal world, your thoughts, values, choices, within your control. External world, people, success, status, judgment, outside your control. Today, most people live entirely in the external world. We ask, do they like me? Am I successful enough? Why am I not where others are? But we never ask, who am I when no one is watching? What kind of person am I becoming? Do my actions align with my soul? And that is why you feel lost. You have abandoned the internal world and become a prisoner of the external. Epictetus said, "You cannot be taught a lesson that you don't first accept." Maybe the lesson your soul is trying to teach you is this: you don't need more things. You need more meaning. You don't need more applause. You need more alignment within. The illusion of happiness. Another reason we feel lost is because we chase a happiness that isn't real. Society tells you, you'll be happy when you get that job. You'll be happy when you get that person. You'll be happy when others admire you. And you believe it. You chase these things with desperation. You push yourself. But when you finally touch them, what happens? Happiness stays for a moment, like fog under sunlight, and disappears. Seneca warned us centuries ago, it is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it chasing what is meaningless. You are not lost because life is meaningless. You are lost because you've been searching for meaning in places where it does not exist. Noise outside, silence inside. Think about how your day begins. Most people do not start their mornings in silence, with breath, with reflection. They start with noise. Before your eyes even adjust to the light, your phone feeds you the world's chaos. Other people's lives, opinions, emotions, all entering your mind before your own thoughts can speak. Marcus Aurelius would begin his day by preparing his mind. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and selfish. But I will not be harmed by them. He strengthened his inner world before the outer world could touch him. But today we do the opposite. We let the outer world invade before we build our inner strength. This is why the soul becomes lost. It has no space to breathe. The forgotten self. You feel lost because you have forgotten how to be with yourself. You have mastered scrolling, reacting, judging, but not listening. When was the last time you sat alone? Not with a phone, not with music, not with distraction, but with your own thoughts. At first, it's uncomfortable. Feels lonely. But that loneliness is not emptiness. It is truth. And only when you face that truth can you begin to heal. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why did he say this? Because the path to finding yourself is not glamorous. It requires silence, reflection, discipline, and in that silence, the world may not applaud you, but your soul will. You are not broken, you are misaligned. The biggest lie is, you are lost because something is wrong with you. No, you are lost because you are not aligned, not with trends, not with success, not with others, but with your own nature. The Stoics believed every soul has a guiding principle, a divine spark of reason. When you act against it, you suffer. When you follow it, life feels meaningful even in pain. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself in his journal, "At some point, you have to realize that what truly matters is whether your soul is aligned with nature." To be aligned means, you know what is in your control, and you act on it. You accept what is outside your control, and let it go. You live by values, not by trends. You choose discipline over distraction. You judge yourself by your character, not your achievements. You feel lost not because life is against you, but because you have stopped living in harmony with yourself. You are chasing things that do not belong to you while ignoring the only thing that ever will, your inner self. But this is not a tragedy. This is your awakening. The Stoics would say, feeling lost is the first step toward wisdom, because only a lost person begins to search sincerely. Why do you feel lost even when you have everything you once prayed for? Why do you wake up and feel an invisible pressure sitting on your chest? A heaviness that doesn't speak but makes its presence known in silence. This is not an accident. This is what happens when your life becomes controlled by attachment, comparison, and expectations. The very chains the Stoics warned us about. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And what is attachment, if not our imagination trying to control reality? The real enemy is inside, not outside. Most people believe they feel lost because of their circumstances. No money, no clear purpose, broken relationships, pressure from family or society. But the Stoics would disagree. They would say, "You are not lost because life is hard. You are lost because you are attached to how life should be. Life didn't betray you. Your expectations did." Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Today I escaped anxiety." Or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. Think about that. He didn't say the world got better. He said his way of looking at the world became better. And that is what being lost truly means, not losing your path in the world but losing your clarity in your own mind. Attachment, when desire becomes a prison. Attachment is when you tie your happiness to something outside your control. A person, a dream, a result, a reputation. You don't just want it, you need it to feel at peace. And that is the moment your soul becomes a prisoner. You attach yourself to a relationship, and now rejection destroys you. Success, and now failure terrifies you. People's opinions, and now every judgment controls you. A perfect life plan, and now any change feels like death. The Stoics said, "Want nothing outside your control and you will be free." Harsh. Maybe. True. Absolutely. Epictetus taught this every day to his students. When you are attached to anything not in your control, suffering will follow. It is not love that hurts, but attachment to how love must be. It is not ambition that kills peace, but attachment to how quickly success should arrive. Comparison, the silent poison of the soul. Look around you, the world today survives on comparison. Every day through social media you see someone better than you. Better lifestyle, better body, better success, better relationship. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start believing that your life is small, meaningless, not enough. But here is the truth. You are comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You are comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You are comparing your reality to someone else's illusion. Seneca said, "It is the nature of the human being to compare, but it is the disease of the soul to envy. Comparison is not just unhealthy, it's irrational. You and the other person do not share the same path, the same struggles, the same timing from the universe. Then how can you measure your worth by their life? You feel lost because you're trying to walk someone else's road. The Stoic truth about validation. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your life is lived for approval? The clothes you wear, the photos you post, the dreams you chase, even the things you say, are they really your voice? Or are they designed to be liked? Marcus Aurelius warned himself in his journal. It never ceases to amaze me, we all love ourselves more than other people, yet we care more about their opinions than our own. You feel lost because you want to be seen more than you want to be true. Because you want to look successful rather than be at peace. Because you want applause, not alignment. The Stoic solution? Live by principle, not by popularity. Seek character, not attention. If your soul is satisfied with your actions, let the world say what it wants. Expectations, the architect of disappointment. You expected life to be different by now, didn't you? You expected certain dreams to come true by a certain age. You expected people to love you the way you loved them. You expected the world to be fair because you were kind. But Marcus Aurelius gave a reminder we all need today. The world is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. Life will not always give you what you expect, but it will always give you what you need to grow. When you expect ease and receive hardship, you grow in strength. When you expect loyalty and receive betrayal, you grow in wisdom. When you expect happiness and receive emptiness, you grow in self-understanding. Stoicism doesn't tell you to stop dreaming. It tells you to stop demanding. Dream but don't cling. Love but don't chain. Hope but don't collapse when things don't go your way. Freedom lies in letting go. Imagine this. You are holding sand in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips out. This is attachment. This is expectation. This is comparison. But if you open your palm, the sand rests softly. This is acceptance. This is freedom. Epictetus taught this in the simplest way. When something happens, you can either say it is misfortune, or you can say it is an opportunity. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care without destroying your peace. You try without needing a specific outcome. You love without losing yourself. So why do you still feel lost? Because your mind is still searching for home in places it does not exist. Not in people, not in achievements, not in perfection, not in the past or future. Home exists only in one place, within the soul that is aligned with truth. Seneca said, "No man is free who is a slave to his passions." Today, passions are not just emotions, they are attachments, comparisons, expectations. Until you break them, you will continue to feel lost, even in a room full of love, success, and comfort. When you ignore your inner voice, discipline, disconnection, and the loss of self, there comes a moment in life when everything around you feels loud, yet inside you, there is only silence. Not the peaceful kind of silence, but a silence that feels like distance. Distance from your own heart, your own purpose, your own truth. You look into the mirror and you see your face, but you do not recognize who you are becoming. This is the cost of ignoring your inner voice. This is how a person becomes truly lost. Marcus Aurelius once asked himself in his journal, "Are you living as the person your soul wants you to be, or as the world expects you to be?" For most people, the answer is painful. We don't live by what we know is right. We live by what is easy, what is praised, what keeps us accepted. And every time we choose this, something inside us becomes quieter, smaller, and eventually silent. The inner voice, your soul's compass. Deep inside you, there is a voice that doesn't shout. It whispers. It tells you when you are betraying yourself. It tells you when you are lying to yourself. It tells you when you're living below your potential. But the problem is, the world is too loud. Your phone, your notifications, your habits, they make so much noise that you can't hear the gentle wisdom inside you. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. It is the result of a silent and patient soul. But how can your soul be patient when your life is full of noise? How can you build something great when every second is spent running from silence? You feel lost because you have forgotten how to listen to your own soul. Why discipline matters more than motivation. You don't feel lost because you lack motivation. You feel lost because you lack discipline. Motivation is temporary. It burns bright but fades quickly. Discipline is different. It's the quiet force that keeps you going even when motivation disappears. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Where do we waste it? Not in big disasters, but in small, repeated choices. I'll do it tomorrow. Just one more hour on the phone. I'll start when I feel ready. It's not the right time yet. We think these choices don't matter. But every time you delay what your soul knows is right, you teach yourself to ignore your inner voice. You are not lost because life is unfair. You are lost because you've allowed your mind to become your master instead of your servant. Self-betrayal, the real source of suffering. There is one kind of pain that is worse than heartbreak, worse than failure, worse than rejection. It is the pain of self-betrayal. It is when you know you should do better, but don't. When you know you deserve more, but settle. When you know what is right, but choose what is easy. And a voice inside you says quietly, "You could have been more." Marcus Aurelius warned himself, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." He was not talking about being perfect, he was talking about being honest with yourself. You don't need to become extraordinary. You just need to stop betraying your own soul. How disconnection happens. It doesn't happen in one day. It happens little by little. Every time you scroll instead of study, you disconnect. Every time you stay silent instead of speaking your truth, you disconnect. Every time you tolerate what breaks your spirit, you disconnect. Every time you know what is right but don't do it, you disconnect. Soon, you no longer trust yourself. You no longer believe in your promises. You no longer recognize your own reflection. And then you say, "I feel lost." But you are not lost. You have simply walked too far from yourself. The Stoic way to reconnect. Stoicism doesn't give magical motivation. It gives structure. It gives honesty. It gives a way back to yourself. Here is how the Stoics would guide you. 1. Face yourself, without excuses. Sit alone. No distractions. Ask yourself, what am I running from? Where am I lying to myself? What do I truly want, not to impress others but to respect myself? This is painful. But as Epictetus said, no man is free until he masters himself. 2. Rebuild trust with small daily discipline. Do not try to change your life in one day. Just start with one action that your soul respects. Wake up when you said you would. Read instead of scrolling. Speak honestly even when it's hard. Do one thing that makes you stronger, not weaker. These are small acts, but every time you do them, your inner voice becomes louder. 3. Remove what weakens you. The Stoics were ruthless with distractions. Not because they hated pleasure, but because they loved clarity. Ask yourself, what in my life takes me away from who I want to become? Toxic people? Endless scrolling? Late nights and lazy mornings? Conversations with no depth? Remove them slowly but surely. Seneca said, "If you do not choose what to focus on, others will choose for you, and you will lose yourself." 4. Practice daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal every morning and night, not because he was a philosopher, but because he was human trying to stay aligned. Write down, what did I do well today? Where did I fail myself? How can I do better tomorrow with calmness, not guilt? This will make you conscious of your life again. You are not weak, you are asleep. Feeling lost doesn't mean you are weak. It means you've been asleep, living on autopilot. But the fact that you can feel this discomfort, this emptiness, means your soul is waking up. Epictetus said, "Only the educated are free." Not school educated, but self-educated. Educated in the art of living. When you begin to act with discipline, your inner voice returns. When your inner voice returns, you no longer feel lost. Because direction doesn't come from the world, it comes from within. You lose yourself slowly by ignoring your inner voice, avoiding discipline, and betraying your own values. But you can also find yourself slowly, through small acts of courage, through honesty, through ancient wisdom applied in ordinary moments. There's a moment in every life when pain becomes too heavy to carry. The loss you didn't expect, the betrayal you never saw coming, the failure that shattered your confidence. And somewhere in that darkness, you whisper to yourself, "Why me?" This question, though painful, is the birthplace of transformation. The Stoics believe that suffering isn't an interruption of life, it is life. And the way we respond to it determines who we become. Seneca once said, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests the brave." The meaning is clear. Suffering isn't a punishment, it's the world asking, "What are you made of?" The meaning of pain. Pain itself is neutral. It's a sensation, a signal that something within or around you needs attention. But what turns pain into suffering is the story we attach to it. When you fail and you tell yourself, "I am worthless." When you lose someone and you whisper, "I will never heal." When life doesn't go your way and you decide, "The universe is against me." It's not life that breaks you, it's the narrative you create around the pain. Epictetus taught that people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of things. Your suffering is not caused by events, it's caused by your interpretation of them. This is the Stoic secret. Pain doesn't define you, your response does. Seneca's fire. Seneca faced exile, betrayal, and disgrace. Yet he wrote some of his most profound letters in moments of despair. He turned his pain into wisdom. When the world tried to silence him, he turned inward and asked himself, "If I lose everything, what still belongs to me?" That's the question you must ask yourself too. If everything external disappears, your success, your friends, your status, what remains? The Stoics would say, your reason, your virtue, your character. No one can take these from you. When you begin to see pain as a teacher rather than an enemy, everything changes. You stop asking, "Why me?" And you begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Marcus Aurelius and the discipline of suffering. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, faced endless wars, disease, betrayal, and loneliness, yet his writings and meditations were filled with gratitude. He wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." He understood something few ever do. The world can hurt your body, but only you can hurt your soul. When you feel lost in pain, remember Marcus's words. Everything happening now is shaping you into the person you were meant to become. You're not broken, you're being refined. The Stoics compared life to a blacksmith's forge. The more the iron is struck, the stronger it becomes. If you never faced adversity, you'd remain soft, untested, uncertain of your true limits. How to use pain as a teacher. So how do you actually turn pain into power? The Stoics gave us a path, not in theories but in daily practice. 1. Pause before you react. When pain strikes, your first instinct is emotional, anger, sadness, fear. But Epictetus advised, when something happens, remember that it happened for you to learn, not for you to despair. Take a breath. Create space between the event and your reaction. In that space you gain control. 2. Examine the lesson hidden inside the pain. What can I learn from this? What part of me needs to grow? What expectations were shattered that I needed to let go of? Every painful event reveals something about your attachments, what you cling to, what you fear losing. 3. Transform emotion into action. Don't drown in thoughts. Pain without action becomes suffering. Action transforms pain into growth. Write, train, build, serve, create. Whatever your path, move. Marcus wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Your pain isn't blocking your path, it is your path. When the night feels endless, there will be nights where all of this feels meaningless. When words like growth or purpose sound hollow, you will want to give up. It's okay to feel that way. The Stoics never told us to suppress emotion, They taught us to guide it. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." You are being tested not to destroy you, but to awaken the strength that lies dormant within. Don't run from the storm, stand in it. The storm will pass and you'll still be standing. That's how strength is born, not in comfort but in endurance. The inner alchemy of pain. Think of suffering as raw energy. Left unchecked, it burns and destroys, but when directed with wisdom, it fuels transformation. Epictetus lived as a slave before becoming a great teacher. He was beaten, humiliated, stripped of dignity, yet he said, "I must die. Must I then die lamenting? I will die, but not lamenting." He understood that freedom isn't physical, it's mental. Pain can chain your body, but it cannot touch your soul if you choose not to surrender it. You too can perform this inner alchemy. Turn heartbreak into compassion. Turn loss into gratitude. Turn failure into clarity. Pain is a message. Every wound is trying to tell you something. Maybe it's saying, you've been chasing things that don't align with your soul. Maybe it's saying, you've placed your worth in fragile things. Maybe it's saying, you need to return to yourself. Marcus wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will always bubble up, if you will always dig." Pain forces you to look inward, because everything external has failed to give you peace. It pushes you toward the one place that's been silent all along, your inner self. You're not alone. Remember this, even the Stoics felt lost. They doubted, they suffered, they cried. But they never stopped seeking meaning inside the chaos. When you feel like you can't go on, think of Seneca writing letters in exile. Think of Marcus, sick and weary, writing to remind himself to stay kind. Think of Epictetus, a slave teaching freedom. You come from the same human lineage. Their strength is not ancient, it's in you too. The Stoic way forward. The next time pain knocks on your door, don't resist it. Welcome it as a messenger. Ask what it came to teach you. Don't waste your energy wishing it away. Direct that energy into becoming unshakable. Because in the end, pain is not your enemy. It's the blacksmith's hammer shaping the blade of your soul. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your suffering isn't a detour from life's path, it is the path. Embrace it, learn from it, walk through it, and when you emerge, you'll no longer be lost. You'll be unshakable. Most of the suffering you carry is not because life is cruel, but because you are trying to control everything that was never yours to control. You want people to understand you. You want the future to go exactly as you planned. You want the world to move at your pace, to follow your expectations. And when it doesn't, you feel lost. You feel as if life is slipping through your fingers, and no matter how tightly you try to hold it, it just keeps moving. This is where Epictetus, the Stoic slave who became a great teacher, speaks with clarity. He said that peace begins when we accept the difference between what is in our control and what is not. The problem is, most of us live in reverse. We try to control people, outcomes, time, things outside us, while we ignore the only thing we truly own, our mind, our choices, our response. You wake up each day with stress in your chest because you want to make sure nothing goes wrong. You fear failure before it begins. You rehearse conversations in your mind before they even happen, imagining every reaction, every judgment. You want to make life predictable, safe, guaranteed. But life has never promised control. It promised uncertainty. It promised change. It promised time, but never how much. And yet you resist this truth, and your resistance becomes your suffering. The Stoics didn't teach that life becomes easier when you become wise. They taught that you become stronger, calmer, unshakable, even when life does not bend to your will. Think about the moments that hurt you the most. Were they caused by events themselves, or by the expectations you had about how things should be? You wanted someone to stay, but they left. You wanted everything to go perfectly, but it didn't. You wanted people to treat you fairly, but they didn't. The pain is real, but the reason it cuts so deep is because you believed you had control over things you never did. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, reminding softly, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This wasn't just advice, it was survival. He was an emperor with armies, wealth, and power, but even he knew he could not control death, betrayal, or fate. But he could control how he met them. You feel lost because you keep fighting what life is giving you instead of listening to it. You resist endings instead of understanding them. You chase people who have already chosen to walk away. You punish yourself for things that are no longer in your hands. And this constant resistance creates exhaustion. You are not tired from living, you are tired from trying to control the uncontrollable. Epictetus said, "When you try to control things not in your power, you become a slave to them." And that is the truth. When you try to control people, you become controlled by their actions. When you try to control outcomes, you become controlled by disappointment. When you try to control time, you become controlled by fear. Peace begins in a small but powerful moment. The moment you say, "I will give my best, but I will not beg life to follow my plans." This is not weakness. This is not giving up. This is choosing to walk with life rather than against it. Acceptance is not passive. It is not laziness. It is a deep understanding. I will act with courage, but I will not suffer over what is beyond me. Look at the ocean. It is calm not because it controls the storm, but because it knows storms come and go. The Stoic life is like this, not still because nothing happens, but still because the soul has stopped demanding to control what it cannot. You want people to understand you, but you cannot control how others think. You want the future to be perfect, but you cannot control time. You want certainty, but you cannot control fate. What you can control is how honestly you live, how patiently you wait, how bravely you act. This is where direction returns. You stop being lost not when life becomes easy, but when you stop fighting with reality. When you accept the flow of life but still choose how to move within it. You let go of controlling people and instead you control your reactions to them. You stop chasing validation and instead you choose integrity. You stop fearing the future and instead you prepare for it. Imagine waking up tomorrow and truly understanding, today I will meet people who may lie, who may betray me, who may ignore me. Things might not go my way. I might fail. But none of this can touch my soul unless I allow it. Imagine the freedom of acting with full effort but no desperation. Imagine the relief of loving someone deeply but not being destroyed if they walk away. Imagine the strength of working hard for your goals but not losing your peace if life takes a different turn. This is what Epictetus meant by inner freedom, living fully but not becoming a prisoner of outcomes. You are not supposed to control every chapter of your life. You are meant to live them. Some chapters will break you. Others will heal you. Some will confuse you. Others will make you wiser. But none of them were ever meant to be predicted. They were meant to be experienced. Life is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to show up with honesty and courage, to act where you can, to accept where you cannot, to let go when it's time, to endure with grace. That is enough. So if you feel lost right now, maybe it's not because you have no path. Maybe it's because you're holding too tightly to how the path should look. Let it go. Loosen your grip. You are not weak for letting go. You are wise. You are not giving up. You are growing up. The river of life does not stop flowing because you resist it. It keeps moving. And peace arrives the moment you learn to move with it. Not controlled, not forced, just steady. A calm mind, an anchored soul. And in that stillness, something beautiful happens. You begin to hear your inner voice again. The one you buried under fear, control, noise, was always there, waiting, quietly saying, "This moment is enough. You are enough. Do what you can. Let the rest go." That is where you stop being lost. Not when life becomes perfect, but when you stop trying to control it. You don't stay lost forever. There is a moment when the fog in your mind begins to clear, not because life becomes easier, but because you finally start to walk with clarity, acceptance, and intention. Stoicism teaches that direction is not something given by the world. It's something built within yourself through discipline, values, and action. 1. You don't find purpose, you build it through action. Most people wait for clarity to arrive like a miracle. They think purpose is hidden somewhere out there, in a job, in success, in another person. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Purpose is not discovered. It is created through small, honest actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Don't overthink your path. Walk even if it's one small step. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just the next step clearly. Balance scale 2. Define your inner values, your personal compass. When you don't know your values, everything feels confusing. But once you define them, decisions become easier. Ask yourself, what matters more to me, pleasure or growth? Do I value truth over comfort? Do I want a life of ease or purpose? Core Stoic values. Wisdom, see clearly. Courage, do what's right even when afraid. Discipline, control desires, not be controlled by them. Justice, treat others as you wish to be treated. Once values are set, choices become clear and confusion fades. Hammer and wrench 3. Build discipline, the bridge between confusion and direction. Stoics believe discipline is freedom. Without discipline, your mind stays foggy, your goals stay unreal. Wake up with intention. Don't let the day control you. Decide your first move. Create routines, even simple habits, reading, journaling, training, create inner order. Do what you avoid. The things you run from are often the things that build you. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Action kills fear. Notebook 4. Journaling, the Stoic tool to untangle a lost mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote meditations not to publish, but to remind himself how to live. You can do the same. How to journal, Stoic style. Morning, what kind of person will I choose to be today? Evening, did I live today as the person I want to be? Ask yourself, what am I running from? What is in my control right now? If I were braver, what would I do? Writing makes your thoughts visible. When thoughts are visible, they lose control over you. Speech balloon 5. Stop overthinking, start moving. Overthinking is the enemy of direction. You try to solve life inside your head instead of inside your actions. You don't need full confidence, you just need enough courage to begin. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." Start small, read one page, walk 1 mile, speak one truth. Clarity comes from movement, not from sitting and waiting. Compass 6. Environment matters, choose what shapes you. You cannot grow in a place that drains your soul. Surround yourself with people who push you to become better, not bitter. Read minds greater than yours, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus. Reduce noise, social media, endless dopamine, meaningless conversations. Add silence, morning walks, prayer, meditation, nature. Your environment either feeds your purpose or starves it. Fire 7. Turn pain into fuel, not chains. Every person who found direction first passed through suffering. The Stoics didn't avoid pain, they transformed it. Ask your pain, what is this teaching me? What weakness is it forcing me to face? What strength can rise from this? Marcus said, the obstacle becomes the way. Your heartbreak, failure, and loneliness are not the end. They are the tools life is using to carve you into who you must become. Sunrise 8. Accept uncertainty, but refuse inaction. Life will always remain unpredictable. You will never control everything, but you can control whether you move forward or freeze. Accept what you cannot change. Change what you cannot accept. Pray for clarity. Work for progress. Epictetus taught this balance: full effort, zero attachment. Finding yourself again and becoming unshakable. There comes a moment in every journey when silence surrounds you. No more chaos, no more running, just you and your own breath. You have been through pain. You have questioned your purpose. You've fought through confusion, heartbreak, and self-doubt. And now you stand at the edge of something powerful: clarity. Not the kind of clarity that appears overnight, but the kind that grows slowly inside you, like light rising after a long storm. This is the moment where you don't escape life. You face it. You don't run from yourself. You return to yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul, especially if you have found wisdom within it." This is where you are heading now. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to chase another identity. You only need to come home to who you truly are. For so long, you believed that life would make sense once everything outside you was perfect. Money, relationships, success, approval. But the Stoics taught something different. They said you become unshakable not when life stops being hard, but when life stops controlling you. When you stop fighting the things you cannot change and start mastering the things you can, your thoughts, your actions, your character. You don't need the world to understand you. You don't even need to be admired. You just need to live in truth with yourself. That is real freedom. Look back for a moment, not with regret, but with wisdom. The pain you went through was not meaningless. The nights you cried, the days you questioned everything, the moments you thought you were breaking. That was life carving strength into your soul. The same way fire shapes steel, suffering has shaped you. You are not the same person who started this journey, and that is something to be proud of. You have learned to let go of control. You now understand what Epictetus taught. Some things are in our control and some are not. You cannot force people to stay. You cannot control how others see you. You cannot predict every outcome. But you can control how you respond, how you think, how you stand back up when life hits you. That is where your power is. That is where you become unshakable. Forgiveness now becomes important. Not because others always deserve it, but because your heart does. You forgive not to erase the past, but to free your future. Holding on to anger only poisons your own peace. You are learning to release it slowly, gently, without hatred. You are choosing to grow without bitterness. You don't need to rush anymore. There is no race. Life is not a competition. You are exactly where you need to be to learn what your soul needs to learn. And even if you still feel a little lost, it doesn't mean you are failing. Sometimes being lost is just the beginning of being found. Now is the time to rebuild, but this time differently. Not from ego, not from fear, but from purpose. Ask yourself, what kind of human do I want to be in this short life? What kind of courage do I want to show? What kind of love do I want to give? You don't need all the answers. You just need to take one honest step at a time. Wake up and choose discipline, not because it's easy, but because your future deserves it. Choose kindness, not because everyone is kind to you, but because your soul feels lighter when you are gentle with the world. Choose truth, not because lies don't work, but because lies make you a stranger to yourself. You will still face pain. You will still encounter loss. But now you know how to stand. You know that storms don't last forever. You know that emotions are like waves. They rise, they fall, but they don't drown you unless you let them. You know now that your value does not depend on success or failure. You are valuable because you are human, capable of reason, capable of courage, capable of love. And this is what it means to be unshakable. Not cold, not emotionless, but unbreakable in spirit. Soft heart, strong mind. Calm in chaos, steady in uncertainty. So take a deep breath. Feel the ground beneath your feet. You are here. You survived everything that was meant to destroy you. You are no longer lost. You are simply in the process of becoming. Now walk forward, not with fear, but with quiet confidence. Not with noise, but with purpose. Your life is not over. It is just beginning again, this time with your eyes open. And maybe the world won't change around you instantly, but something more important has changed, you. And when a person changes from within, the world eventually follows. You are stronger than your past, wiser than your mistakes, and calmer than your storms. You are no longer searching for yourself. You have found yourself. You are unshakable.